Our man Andy Raymond Unfiltered is going to join us out of Australia, as he always does, on a Wednesday. And look, I'll be generous to start with, mate. You lucky Bart versus Panthers. Good God, you did. You actually deserve the game, mate. You deserve the win. I'll take my hat. I'll give it to you. If I'm going to give it to you, I'll give it to you. You deserve the win.
Fair old win, wasn't it, to start the round, and then we got the Broncos and the Dolphins, two pretty good advertisements for rugby league, and backed it up with the Eagles and the Rabbitohs. So three really close, high-quality games.
Yeah, cry a river, mate. Come on, cry a river, mate. I mean, everyone plays these teams, mate. Come on.
No, just I'm being happy I'm trying to be happy this week. I'm having one of those weeks, Mr. Devlin. I'm gonna end up on the lounge, I think, this week, spilling my beans to someone. I'm in the mood to have a few social media arguments this week.
Go on.
And sick to death of stupid Americans telling me that guns don't kill people. Sick to death of minorities saying you don't know what this poor person went through.
Yeah.
Before they committed this latest school shooting in Tennessee. I think this is why I like dogs more than I like humans.
Yeah, I do too, mate. I do.
To be brutally honest.
Look, most humans, mate. Most humans are just, as far as I'm concerned, get lost. I mean, we just had this big protest over here where our Minister for the Prevention of Violence turned around and publicly said, and then doubled down in Parliament yesterday, that the problem with the world is what she calls cis men. Now, cis men, I didn't even know this term, mate. That's how old I am. But cis men, apparently, cis white men. So any white boy born as a boy who identifies as a man is the reason for everything that is absolutely wrong in her world. She's a minister of the Crown here. You know, and
she should be sacked immediately, for inciting racism.
Exactly, it should be, but won't be, of course. But hopefully, what the dummy's done is actually reactivated the biggest part of the electorate who normally don't comment, won't comment, and in ever-decreasing numbers can't be asked voting anymore to actually take action when it comes to the ballot box. But I'm with you, mate. Look, the only thing about the social media arguments is that, you know, I actually cancelled all my social media a couple of years ago when I had some other issues going on, and got back on board. And I've decided that you just don't read the comments and, you know, correspond to a few friends who are on it, but the rest of it, just say your pieces and just leave it, mate, because it is just a bitter, twisted, sick pit of masturbators is what it is, mate. That's really what it is.
100%. I've just jumped on one on Instagram, a fella called Jed Holloway, who I've got no bloody idea who he is, and neither do most of the people that are commenting, but he's a Waratah superstar. And he's come out and he said, I reckon Joseph, in terms of Joseph Suaalii, wants to do more than travel the east coast of Australia.
What a dick thing to say, mate. Come on.
Just a dickhead. And I've chimed in with, he also doesn't like tackling. And I've just been attacked I've been attacked by the rugby fans.
Of course, you're the rah-rah mob. Look, I wanted to talk big time about this. I'm going to play you a couple of quotes, mate. I mean, okay, and we played this a couple of times, but this was Gus Gould to start with, okay? And this was Gus talking about Suaalii and him.
I don't think he does in our game. People are going to refer to the fact that he's going to rugby. Why do we need that? Go now. I've got nothing against the kid. I've loved having him. He's a tremendous athlete. Great for the game. But he's decided to be a rugby player.
Okay, the war of words, and this is McLennan.
We'd take him straight away. We made a good profit this year. We'll make $100 million out of the Lions. We'll make another $100 million out of the World Cup. Everything's heading in the right direction, so we could afford to take him now, and we'd be delighted to take him earlier if League didn't want him. The reaction's been quite thuggish in terms of how they've treated him and what they're saying about him and his manager and the negotiations. Here's a young kid who's bettering himself and he's going to get paid good money. Good on him. I think we're a bit more player-centric in rugby union and a bit more pro-player. I wouldn't be talking to one of my key guys like that. And I think it's a bit unfair, but that's life. I think he'll be a stronger guy because of it.
So that's Hamish McLennan, the Rugby Australia chairman. One thing we realise about this guy is he just mouths off a lot and he says a lot of things because he loves being in the media, loves creating headlines. I mean, when he plucks out $100 million on the Lions and $100 million, my God, I tell you what, his accountants must be absolutely delighted. Where do those figures come from, Andy? Obviously they've come out of his backside, haven't they? But also when you're talking about making a $100 million profit, well, dude, you've just spent $6 million of that on a guy that you don't even know is going to be in a Wallaby jersey. So what kind of economic equation are you actually peddling here? But just the fight, I mean, we're sitting on laughing on this side. Rugby versus league over there, so many people are just still so bitter and embittered.
Mate, Joseph's a different character, and you're going to see more of it. It started with, I guess, Matty Rogers, Wendell Saylor and Lottie Takiri trying their luck prior to the 2003 World Cup over here and changing codes for a much bigger pay packet. Sonny Bill is revolutionised as a multi-sport athlete,
yep.
Has revolutionised what a young athlete can do. Joseph, from a very young age, 13 or 14, and I'll say Joseph and his immediate circle, which includes family and advisors, has proven he is not loyal. He's here for the dollars. I've got no problem with that. I've got absolutely no problem with that. If you're in business for the dollars, all the power to you. But don't then say you're loyal.
No.
Joseph was paid to move from Penrith Rugby Union as a kid, paid to move to Rugby League, paid to move to South Sydney, paid to move to the Roosters. This was all before his 17th birthday. Then his management and his family dangled the carrot to the ARU. They said no. Then he's now been paid to the Australian Rugby Union. You cannot have the best of both worlds. God knows, Marty, I would love the best of both worlds in my life. It's just impossible. And these kids of today who have been given absolutely every opportunity at everything are going to find out at some stage you can't have the best of both worlds. His pay packet is going to look fabulous. He may create a legacy as an unbelievable multi-sport athlete. He's going to be seen as a mercenary. He's going to be seen as not a loyal guy and just goes where the dollars is. But I'm not knocking him for that. But I'm just saying you can't have both ways. You can't then say, oh, I'm loyal to the Roosters and I don't want to leave. Well, mate, if you don't want to leave, don't leave.
Don't leave.
But don't take the money and then say, I don't want to leave.
Yeah, look, and, two words, reliability and stickability. I wouldn't go near the guy with the barge pole because as soon as he signed with Souths, it was about, I want to play in this position. I only want to sign a one-year deal. He goes to the Roosters. I don't want to sign anything more than a year because at the end of the year, I might decide on a whim that, look, there's a big shiny thing over there. I want to go chase that one over there. The guy is unproven. And as Roger Tuivasa-Sheck has shown, you can be a fantastic rugby league player. Are you going to make it in union? I look at Takiri and I look at Saylor and I look at Rogers. All were brilliant league players. None of them were at their best playing rugby. And that's because that Australian team doesn't give you the opportunity. If Lottie Takiri had been on the left wing for the All Blacks, he could have been another Jonah Lomu. So this guy, McLennan can say what he bloody likes, but just having the Lions coming in a World Cup and hosting a World Cup doesn't necessarily mean that your team is going to be any better than it is now, that you haven't won against New Zealand, the Bledisloe Cup, for 20-something years. Eddie Jones is capable of creating a one-off side that might do something at the World Cup, but Eddie Jones is also a home wrecker. He lasts 3 years, and by that stage, the whole place is an absolute shambles. I think this is more about publicity than ability.
Yep. Mate, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist.
Say that with pride, Andy. Say that with pride because you deserve to say that with pride. I'm a conspiracy theorist too.
I do, and I love my JFK theory.
Yes.
I've done a heap of reading and listening to the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy,
Same.
which makes JFK absolutely pale by comparison. So here is what I have got for you. Joseph Suaalii will go to rugby union at the end of this season, not the end of next season, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck returns to the Roosters for next year on his money.
We have a guy. I tell you what, this is no joke. We had somebody text in with that conspiracy theory about an hour ago as we started the show, and he just said out of nowhere, he said, listen, he said Roger's going to go to Japan because he's not going to make the Rugby World Cup squad. He's going to go over there for a season, and then as soon as Suaalii buggers off, he will take his spot back at the Roosters. Mate, I mean, I'm actually connecting dots here, and I think, why wouldn't that happen?
Why wouldn't that happen? And I can guarantee that was the first thing that went through the Roosters' mind. And that they, They didn't need a heads up. They knew all along what they were dealing with Joseph Suaalii and his manager. They knew all along what they were dealing with. This is no surprise to the Roosters, who are a well-governed, well-run club. They are constantly and continually a step ahead of the pack, and that's why they have had the success that they've had under Nick Politis. I mean, they just do it right. So this is no surprise at all. And I reckon a lot of movable parts, but I think phone calls have already been made.
Andy Raymond, Unfiltered, with us. Why is there still a silly war going on between the two codes over there, this one-upsmanship that goes on? Look, you know, if rugby had secured Nathan Cleary, the biggest superstar in the sport, maybe you can shout from the rooftops and blow your trumpet about that. But this guy, look, he might be good, but he's only potential. You know, I mean, they're already talking about him being a wallaby. Look, to me, it's the same as Israel Folau when he left and went to AFL. I mean, I was just laughing at the time going, what? Have you ever actually kicked a rugby ball or kicked any ball that high in your life? And I mean, and you were a failure at it. Then you came back to rugby and you were okay, but you weren't the Israel Folau that was so dominant playing league, playing Origin, the best player on the planet at that stage. So, I mean, I don't get it. After all of this time, both games can succeed, but I can see what rugby's trying to do in Australia. They get no attention, they get no headlines, no one's talking about it, and what they want is to be relevant. We've spoken about this before, and they think that by being on the front page of the paper, no matter what it is, they think that that's being relevant, do they?
Yeah, they do, and Rugby Australia over the course of probably the last 15 years have gone in and out of deciding whether to create a storm. We've discussed this previously. Eddie Jones's appointment is as much for coaching nous and tactical ability as it is for promotion, publicity, and quotes in the 6 o'clock nightly news.
Yeah.
With Eddie back on board, they got their chest out and they're happy to beat it, and good on them. There is room for both sports, and this is what a lot of people forget. There is room for both sports, but I keep reminding myself, and I try and remind others, they're different sports, guys.
Yeah,
you're going to have crossover athletes from time to time, but they're different sports, and there is room for both of them. There's no need to get into this crap slanging match. But it is what it is, and most of it's good-hearted banter. To be honest, most of it is good-hearted banter. But then, you know, you get the general public that sometimes decide they'd rather have an argument than anything else.
9 to the hour it is. This was Vossi after the North Queensland result.
Well done, the Warriors. And to all the New Zealand fans watching at home, be proud of what your team is showing so far this season.
Okay, so after the Bulldogs game, this is how I'm feeling about it now, mate. I mean, you know, when we won a couple of games, I started to get all sort of about it. Now that we've won 3 out of 4, now I start getting nervous. Oh, my God, can we keep this up? And so you start getting into that headspace where you're thinking, are we actually a good side? Are we a decent side? You've got to say that was a gutsy win, mate. And for a team that won 6 games last year, they've already won half of that amount so far. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
More than a gutsy win, mate. It was a great win. It was a great win. The Bulldogs have improved. The quality of that game showed the quality of the Warriors. Mate, let's be honest. When did the Warriors win a 16-14 game with any great confidence or ability over the last couple of years?
Oh, I haven't. No.
They ended up losing 28-16.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So the fact that they ground out a win like this, and they did it with Tamari Martin off the field. They did it without Mitch Barnett. They did
Tohu Harris off the field. Yeah,
Tohu Harris was off the field. Mate, things are changing. Things are changing at the Warriors. It may not be this year, and let's keep our expectations realistic. It may not be this year, but things are changing, and I couldn't be happier.
Gracious of you. What's happening with King Gutho, mate? Why is there even talk about this at the Eels?
I don't know. I don't know, mate. And I have had a pipeline directly into the Eels for 35 years since playing my junior football down there. Many of my best mates either working down there, still involved or within, discussion groups. and scratching my head. I just don't know. Unless it's an all-time, unless it's a top 10 or 15 player in the NRL, I think they've made a big mistake and they're crawling themselves. Potentially they get the most consistent player, they get our co-captain, they get him offside, and he's got every right to have the Darren Britts at the moment.
Yeah.
If it has gone down as reported, and both you and I know that what you actually read in the newspaper or online, it doesn't always go down that way.
No.
It's the headline that matters. If it has gone down like this, I'm scratching my bald head, mate. I'm hoping that the headline is wrong and the byline is wrong, and there is some player movement going on, and they are looking at different options.
Okay.
Whether that different option is playing Clint in the centres, and you end up with a Jack Whiten at fullback or something of the like, that makes sense. But a Jaden Campbell or a second-tier player, no, thank you. Not for me.
All right, two quick things before we go. We always look for a big preview on what's on Andy Raymond Unfiltered, your podcast. Away at the Roosters, which, Sydney away games, they're kind of home. But, the Roosters, now are you confident? You've had that one win. Does that mean that you approach this game thinking, okay, we can bowl these guys and we can actually start resurrecting our whole season, or are you still just a little bit worried?
Still a bit worried this weekend with no Junior Polo out suspended. They don't have Joey Manu. Neither side is at full strength. I'll watch with interest. I certainly wouldn't be tipping with any confidence. I'll keep my money in my wallet. It'll be an interesting game between two sides that are a bit up and down at the moment. They haven't settled into their rhythm. But I think it'll be a good game to start the weekend, mate.
Alrighty then. What's on the potty this week?
Terrific Legend Series interview with Matt Ballin, two-time premiership winner. We're also speaking with Jamie Soward, Joe Tarpanet drops in, Adrian Morley, Brett Kenny, Scott Drinkwater, Chance Nickel Klookstar, and a whole lot more. It's a terrific week, but the Matt Ballin story, unbelievable.
Always a pleasure, my man. And, we can... it's only happened... This is the first week after 4 rounds of the comp where we can both sit there and both a little bit satisfied across the beers this week, right? Just a little bit satisfied we can be.
Yeah, absolutely. We can be satisfied. And mate, just looking at what lies ahead Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think we're going to be all positive at the end of Sunday night. We're going to have another good round of footy. It'll be well supported. There'll be some good games, and mate, we'll be up and bouncing around Monday morning.
Andy, lovely talking to you as always, mate. Thank you so much for that.